Imagine the high stakes of diplomacy unfolding right now, as world leaders scramble to halt a devastating conflict that's torn through lives and landscapes. Could this be the turning point for peace in Ukraine? Let's dive into the latest developments that have everyone's attention. In the sunny confines of West Palm Beach, Florida, key figures from the Trump administration are huddling with Ukrainian representatives this weekend. Their goal? To hammer out a path toward ending Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine, which has raged since 2022, and to pave the way for crucial discussions in Moscow later this week with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This isn't just routine chit-chat, it's a pivotal effort to broker lasting stability in a region that's seen too much heartbreak, from bombed-out cities to families displaced across borders. Leading the U.S. side are heavy hitters like Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, who's no stranger to high-profile negotiations. They are set to deep dive into the nuts and bolts of a potential peace agreement with the Ukrainians. For beginners in international relations, think of this as teams from rival sides coming together at a neutral table to rewrite the rules of their feud, ensuring every detail is ironed out to avoid future clashes. But here's where it gets controversial. Just ahead of these Florida talks on Friday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dropped a bombshell by accepting the resignation of his influential chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. Until then, Yermak had been Ukraine's point person in U.S. negotiations, making this shake-up feel like pulling a key player mid-game. The timing couldn't be more suspicious, coming right after anti-corruption authorities raided Yermak's home as part of a broader probe. Zelensky's administration is grappling with the fallout from a massive scandal involving over $100 million siphoned from the energy sector via shady contractor kickbacks, money that could have fueled defenses or rebuilt infrastructure, but instead lined pockets. This domestic turmoil adds intense pressure on Zelensky, raising questions about trust and transparency at the highest levels. And this is the part most people miss: how does internal drama like this affect a nation's bargaining power on the global stage? Only a week earlier, Rubio had sat down with Yermak in Geneva, where both camps described the session as upbeat and productive. They made headway on tweaking a peace proposal, building on ideas floated in prior talks. Now, stepping into Yermak's shoes for the Ukrainian team are seasoned pros: Andriy Natov, chief of Ukraine's armed forces, bringing military expertise to the table; Andriy Sybiha, the freshly appointed foreign minister, focused on diplomatic finesse; and Rustem Umerov, who heads the National Security Council, ensuring defense strategies align with any deal. Zelensky personally endorsed this lineup, signaling a fresh, robust approach. At the heart of these discussions are updates to Trump's ambitious 28-point peace blueprint, crafted through back-channel talks between Washington and Moscow. Boldly put, this plan has drawn sharp criticism for leaning too heavily toward Russian interests. Imagine a proposal that feels like one side dictating terms while the other scrambles to catch up. For instance, an early version called for Ukraine to fully relinquish control of the Donbass region in the east, a vast area rich in resources and symbolic of national sovereignty, which Kiev sees as non-negotiable territory. That's a huge red flag for Ukrainians, who view it as rewarding aggression rather than punishing it. Trump himself has since dialed back the rhetoric, calling the outline more of a starting concept or rough sketch that needs polishing through collaboration. Other elements include capping the size of Ukraine's armed forces to prevent future escalations, barring the country from ever joining NATO, a defensive alliance that's been a dream for many Ukrainians seeking security guarantees, and mandating nationwide elections within just 100 days, a tight timeline that could spark chaos if not handled delicately. Negotiators hint that revisions are underway, but the specifics remain murky, leaving room for speculation. To clarify for those new to this, peace plans like these often start broad and get refined, but the devil's in the details, especially when sovereignty and security are at stake. On Tuesday, Trump announced he'd dispatch Witkoff, and possibly Kushner, to Moscow this week for direct chats with Putin about advancing the plan. What's intriguing here is the backgrounds of these envoys. Like Trump, they come from the cutthroat world of real estate, where closing deals often trumps traditional diplomatic protocols. They prioritize bold handshakes over endless red tape, a style that worked wonders in their earlier 20-point initiative, which helped secure a ceasefire in Gaza amid its own brutal conflict. Could this deal make a mindset crack the Ukraine puzzle, or does it risk overlooking cultural and historical nuances? Zelensky took to X, formerly Twitter, to affirm that his team would move quickly and thoroughly to outline the war-ending measures. In his evening address on Saturday, he praised the Americans for their constructive stance, adding optimism to the mix. Over the next few days, we can realistically outline the actions required to achieve a dignified conclusion to this war, he noted, evoking a sense of hope amid the hardship. Yet, the harsh reality of the conflict persists. On Saturday, Russian drones and missiles hammered areas around Ukraine's capital, Kiev, claiming at least 3 lives and injuring dozens, a grim reminder that talks alone don't stop the shells. Then, in overnight strikes extending into Sunday, another assault targeted a 9-story apartment building in Vyshhorod, near Kiev, killing 1 and wounding 11 more. These attacks underscore the urgency. Every day of delay means more suffering for civilians caught in the crossfire. As we wrap this up, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The 28-point plan's apparent tilt toward Russia has some experts arguing it's a pragmatic compromise, while others decry it as a betrayal of Ukraine's fight for independence. What do you think? Is yielding territory like Donbass a necessary evil for peace, or does it set a dangerous precedent for aggressors worldwide? Drop your thoughts in the comments, agree, disagree, or share your take, and let's keep the conversation going. Your voice matters in understanding these global twists.